Here we go. Welcome back to Gamechangers, the weekly podcast on strength and health, especially in this unprecedented and challenging time that we're all experiencing. I'm David Spear, your host, along here with Stuart Burton. And I'm coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona. And Stu is coming to us from New York City. So we're really excited about this show, Stu. I think this is going to be great because, we have a great guest today. I'm really, really excited. I'm just going to take a moment just to kind of introduce our guest, and then we'll bring him in. What do you think?
Awesome. Let's do it. Let's do it. It's time to get ready. Let's go.
Also wanted to let our listeners know that we are taking call-ins, so please feel free to call into the show. We'll answer your calls as they come in. So our guest today is Ming Chu, and Ming was a former bodybuilder in the late 1980s and early 90s, who then, and interestingly enough, graduated from Columbia University with a chemistry degree, which is really pretty amazing because, a lot of people in health and fitness don't have that kind of foundation, that academic foundation, which really helped him catapult his career. He's been a physical therapist since 1987, and in 1995 actually started his own practice. He is the founder of the Ming Method and also is the author of the book Permanent Pain Cure, which utilizes fascial stretching techniques and techniques that basically work with the fascia of the body. And I'll let Ming talk a little bit more about him. So, or about that. So let's bring Ming in.
Ming.
Whoa. All right. So Ming is here with us, and welcome, Ming, to the Gamechangers podcast. Really happy to have you here.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So Stu, Ming had suggested that we, maybe discuss some things related to what we can do at home, especially during this time.
Yes.
We're all stuck inside.
Yeah.
We're all trying to figure out ways to stay healthy.
Correct.
And, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about what are some of those techniques and what might be some of those methods.
Well, since Ming is our guest, Ming, would you like to jump on it first, and then I'll fill in?
Yeah, it's been really stressful for me personally, and I'm sure everyone here in this room, in this chat room, that is probably in the same situation. Financially and just emotionally, it's been a really hard time for me personally. And one thing I did do, and I am continuing to do, is try to maintain a certain routine. For example, if I wake up normally at 7:30, that's what time I'll continue to wake up. Today I woke up at 8, so I broke my own rule. But I still woke up at a reasonably early time, even though I have 0 patients. My entire physical therapy practice has been shuttered. I've had no income in over 2 weeks. And luckily, my Chinese mother and father would always tell me to save your money for a rainy day. So I've been very fortunate that I've been diligent in saving. And so I can probably come through this without that much trouble. But I know that they say 80% of Americans are not in the same situation where they are living paycheck by paycheck. So there's going to be a lot of stress. So I strive to ask folks out there to maintain a routine so they wake up at the same time. I also personally do Qigong and also meditation almost every day for at least half an hour. And it basically sets the plate for the entire day for me. And I notice when I do that, I feel better. Whether it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy or it actually works, I don't care. All I know is I feel better. The other thing I recommend is people have to drink a lot of water. I say this all the time. Why it's so important is not just for hydration per se, but it keeps the lungs nice and filled with water and the mucus nice and sticky. And there's evidence now that if you are sleeping in a room that's below, say, 35% humidity, viruses and bacteria can get into your nose and go into your lungs. And that's where this virus is very, very deadly. So I urge you folks, drink water, put a humidifier in your room, get it up to 50% humidity so the mucus inside this passage area can work the way it's supposed to work. The other things I recommend too, maintain a modest exercise program and occasionally push it hard. So maybe a quarter to a third of your workout, push hard and then back off, because you want this hormetic stress where the stress can actually benefit you. But if you go really intense during this time of times of stress, you're going to actually stress your immune system and make things a lot worse. So exercise and occasionally push a little hard, challenge your body, and then back off 3 or 4 times a week, no more than 45 minutes to an hour. That's another thing. Also say to take supplements. That's a little tricky subject because a lot of doctors don't recommend supplements. I'm a big believer in supplements. I have a degree in chemistry from Columbia University, so I have the ability to kind of decipher with my knowledge about taking certain supplements, and I believe that they can absolutely help in this case. If you're going to plan to use supplements, I suggest you go speak to a qualified naturopath or a complementary medical doctor or some person that really knows everything about supplements and using food as medicine. I also suggest that you adjust your diet downwards. I've done it myself. I only eat 2 meals a day now, 2 relatively large meals, and I fast throughout the entire day to get my blood sugar down low. I feel better. I actually lost about 2 pounds. I actually look better, and my energy levels are actually up. My mood is better. So people are always eating sugar. It's actually going to cause insulin sensitivity problems. It's going to mess up your mood. So it's very important to keep your brain functioning properly with the stable blood sugar levels by only eating more infrequently, really. So eat less, manage your weight, and don't get overweight during this time. And the final thing is basically learn how to calm down. I mean, spend your time with your friends, communicate with them by phone, whatever, and make sure that you stay out of this downward spiral. Because I found myself getting into it also, but by speaking to people like Stu, Stu's a friend of mine, we talk and we get each other's moods up. So that's what I would.
Yeah. Man, damn, Ming, you just said it all.
Those are great. Absolutely great suggestions.
Yeah. Just to touch on that just a little bit, I think talking about the training is super important. The getting into a rhythm, the training itself, being consistent. Those things are going to make you feel a little bit more grounded. And what you really want to feel is a little bit more normalized, a little bit more grounded. Even though things are, up and down and all around, when you have something that you can stimulate your body with through exercise, you're going to create a high. And like Ming was saying, you don't want to destroy yourself. Back in the 60s, there were training routines that were for boosting your immune system. And, these were things that I learned, feeder workouts. A lot of people don't really know about feeder workouts. Feeder workouts are just to push blood through the body, increase oxygen and blood flow. What you want to do is, like Ming was saying, either add only the last few minutes of a workout, make it intense. What I always recommend, keeping those workout times low. Don't go too long. You really don't need to go long. You do need to push the body from time to time because lymphatic work, driving a little bit is going to actually make you stronger. It allows the body to deal with stress. Weight training at the barest and lowest level is stress. You're applying stress to your body, but what that does, if you do it in the right increments, you learn to deal with other stressors much better. You're making the body resilient. You're making the body strong. So, definitely do those workouts. There are a few things that we could talk about inside your home that you can do. You can always contact me at team@ironandsilkfitness.com. We give out programs and we're doing a live stream, and it's just going to help to get people, more focused on things that they can do inside the house. Hydration, super important. You have to have enough water in your system. If the water is not there, you can forget it. The body's going to start to shut down. So water is one of the most important things. It helps with that conversion of food and supplements. Because if you have the right supplements, you have the right food, and the water is no good, the conversion is not going to take place. So you have to make sure that your water is there. That's one of the most important things as well.
Let me, I wanted to bring something up, Ming, that you talked about, which is the mucosa in the lungs and keeping it sticky. And, I wanted to relate that to fascia because what you're finding now is people are at home. A lot of people are sitting. They're sitting much more than they have been. Usually you're walking, especially in New York City, it's a walking city. So you're constantly walking.
Right.
And whether you are flexible or you're not flexible, at least you are stimulating peripheral circulation. You're not doing that now because if you're in an apartment, you can only walk so much, and then you're sitting down, or your movement is impeded. So I'm curious to talk about a little bit about that, how to stay flexible. Obviously the hydration is going to help, but where are we with that? Are there some techniques that people can do at home that will help?
You came to the right guy, because at the risk of sounding like I'm shilling for my book, in fact, I'm going to get it right now. I'll show it to you guys.
See, this is the beauty of being on video.
Yeah.
All kidding.
Couldn't do this on the phone.
This is my book, The Permanent Pain Cure. And I wrote this book about a decade ago, and it really basically will cover a lot of the things that you are talking about. It teaches you how to do spinal decompression stretches, and also fascial stretches locally for each muscle. So it is true, if you're sitting a lot, if you're not moving a lot, your hip flexors get tight, your buttocks get compressed, your abdominal muscles sag, your pecs tighten to the forward position, what we call the flexion posture. So everything becomes really, really tight. So even when you're standing, you look like you're sitting. And that's going to cause a lot of problems. It's going to cause back problems and neck problems, all kinds of weird things go on. So I urge you, really, I mean, I know it's my book. It sounds awful, but I sincerely mean this. My book can really, really help people, because it goes through about what we talked about with Stu and I, about hydration and taking key supplements and doing the myofascial stretches and the spinal decompression stretches. Another thing, I want to say this, is that, Stewie and I were pretty advanced bodybuilders. I was a bodybuilding champion. Stewie himself, an accomplished bodybuilder himself. And I've noticed personally a very disturbing thing that's happening on my body. And
don't show to nobody, Ming.
I used to have one of my best body parts on my body, and you know this too, because you watched me compete when I was a young man. Yeah. My legs were really big and they were really defined.
Yeah, good legs.
That's part of my body. And I'm telling you, in the last 2 weeks, I don't have access to a squat rack anymore, and my legs have gotten small. And I've noticed noticeable atrophy on my legs. I'm saying, oh my God, what's going on? And my legs are much bigger than the average person's, and I can see it, the drop off. So can you imagine a person who's not lifting weights, and all of a sudden you start to see the atrophy in the gluteal muscles, the hamstrings, the quads, and the calves? Think of that person's functionality over time. If this guy is 60 or 65 years old, who's not a weightlifter, starts to atrophy like that. Once this emergency is over, his ability to ambulate and function normally is going to be diminished. Cool. So I have personally, I'm on a personal quest. I had make it an absolute thing to make sure my legs are trained without fail, at least 2 or 3 times a week. And I'll go hard. I was running up and down stairs. You know, you guys were making fun of me because my hair was all messed up and I had to brush my hair. But I had just come from a workout. I worked out, I lifted weights for about half an hour, and I ran the stairs. I did about 24 flights today. So I mean, I'm making sure that the lower half of my body is getting stimulated. There's a lot of blood moving the fascia. And this is really crucial, particularly for people over 50. So I wanted to say that legs will diminish, and you have to maintain lower extremity health.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, what we see is most people actually veer away from the leg work. Guys in general tend to like to do a little bit more upper body work. So they're going to do the push-ups, you know, they're going to try and do the pull-ups, these type of things. But, you know, those legs are really important. It helps with your lungs. When you do leg work improves your capability for your lungs to work on a much higher level. So going in, doing squats, doing your lunges, you know, and just doing toe touches, actually, which is going to help you to actually stretch those hamstrings, and not forgetting about stretching those muscles, because a lot of people are going to stimulate and very few people are going to really get the stretches in that they really need. You have to think of this whole thing as a system. The body, again, it's a miraculous machine. It's a beautiful system. Everything you want to do, you don't need to overdo anything, but you do need to go in and be consistent enough with what it is you are doing. So do those exercises, those calisthenics, body weight exercises. If you have some free weights, do the free weights. If you don't have the free weights, it's fine. Repetition, range of motion. Most people don't squat low. This is the time to learn how to squat low. Understand how to distribute the weight on the foot. You know, instead of, let's say, going down most of the time and going quarter of the way down, or not going, or going half of the way down and putting all the weight on the forefoot, shift that weight back to the heel. Start to engage your hips. Start to engage your glutes. You know, so focus now on technique. These are some, as bad as things are, the way how things are going on right now with everything, there's a lot to be gained. If people look at this, they have that saying, there's a silver lining in every cloud. Look at what you can get from having the opportunity now to really pay attention to yourself, pay attention to your body, focus on your eating, get those things together, get them down packed, and then start to do good, clean exercises consistently. Don't worry about intensity. Intensity is there to be built, but you want the consistency. The consistency, and what I always say is, it's about health. The bodybuilders that Ming and I are associated with, and the things that we did as competitive athletes, they're great. But more than anything, what allows you to look good is how healthy you are. If you're healthy, your body's going to do whatever it is you want. If you want to go up 5 pounds, you go up 5 pounds in weight. If you want to go up 10 pounds, 15 pounds, if you want to go down in weight. What makes those things different is when those internal organs aren't able to do the jobs they're supposed to do. The body can't move the way it's supposed to move. And that comes from a lack of attention. So right now, you have the time to put the attention into working at making yourself better physically and mentally.
Yeah, I agree.
So take the opportunity, delve into it, full throttle, do all the stuff you don't like doing. If you don't like squatting low, learn to squat low, learn to lunge low, and you will see that your body is going to respond and come out of this much better. A lot to be gained with what's happening. A lot to be gained.
So this is definitely a time for introspection and learning more about yourself, what your capabilities are. When you're challenged like this, if you can sort of step back and take a look at the, I hate to say it, but the quote unquote bigger picture, you get a lot more information about yourself, about the things that are important, whether it be training, it be your family, whatever it is. But I wanted to stop for a second. We do have a caller, so I wanted to take this caller and bring them into the room. So hold on one second. Hello, you're on Gamechangers.
Hello, this is Max Vitelli from Phoenix Entertainment. How are you?
Hi, Max. How are you?
What's going on?
How you doing?
Everything's good. What's your question?
What is my question? Let's see. Well, what did I've asked this question before, but let me ask it again. Stu, you being with so much experience and so much vast knowledge that you absolutely have, somebody who's starting out, who's kind of like middle-aged, who hasn't really like intensively worked out, somebody around my age, and I happen to be 45 plus. What would you recommend as far as like a startup workout for somebody who like hasn't really hit the gym so much, who's not as intense? Never mind and do you recommend maybe even doing CrossFit training for somebody my age?
Yeah, I think you can do, you can do anything. But the key is really this. With the situation that we have now, right? Where are we now? So we're not going to go out to a CrossFit gym. We're not going to go out to probably any gym. I mean, I'm fortunate. I own my own gym and I can go and train there. But, I'm doing my training in my apartment. Look at what you have. I think what helps me the most in a situation like this is that I've been blessed that I come from a very small country and where you didn't have a lot. So you had to learn how to use what was available to you. So the first thing you want to see is, okay, how much space do I have in my place? Do I feel comfortable going outside and doing some things outside? And then very, very slowly start to put together balanced routines. Every routine, and we're just going to log them into like big blocks instead of getting on to the smaller muscles. But we want to do something for the chest. We want to do something for the back. The back, you want to do something for the lower back as well. You want to hit the glutes. You want to hit the quads, hamstrings. You got to get the abs. Biceps and triceps are going to get a little bit of work. If you focus on chest and back, the biceps and triceps are going to work. But those also too are easy things to do. So what I would suggest with what's going on now, get 2 plastic bags that are in your house. Take the plastic bags, throw a couple of books in each one. Feel out the bags. If they don't feel even, well, what you're going to do is you're going to switch one bag to one hand after a few reps. Do 10 repetitions. When you're done, if you felt that the bag wasn't even, turn it, grab the other bag, switch it in the other hand, do another 10 repetitions. That's going to help to keep things more balanced. With those same bags, choke up on the plastic handles and go into a row. Bend forward, start doing some rowing exercises. If these are not things that you really don't know or not familiar with, again, you can always go online and look at stuff. You can always, again, contact us at Team at Iron and Silk. You know, we can go over those things in particular and give you specific angles as to how you can make these things work for you. But training, absolutely. Training is at any age. My dad's almost 80 years old, and my dad's in phenomenal shape. You know, I mean, he will go to the beach and he will make guys, young guys, be like, "Oh my God," you know. And the thing is that, you know, he put in the time. This body doesn't have to age the way how it tends to age. It's how we treat it. You know, so we want to make sure that start easy. Every workout shouldn't be so hard that you're so sore that you can't recover. You actually want to be chomping at the bit. You want to be a little hungry. You want to say, wow, that was kind of easy. You know what, I can do it. Because with consistency, that's what yields results. If you're not consistent, I can have a great workout, but if I don't train again for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, it doesn't matter how good that workout was. There's nothing to build on. Training is about being consistent. It has absolutely really nothing in the beginning to do with intensity. Intensity comes down the road. It's consistency first. So you want to be able to hit those workouts, 2 to 4 workouts every week, 2 to 4, challenging yourself, challenging the muscles a little bit differently. And then from there, you're going to notice that the intensity is going to start to build. Yeah. So I hope that helped to answer some of the question.
Can I chime in a little bit, fellas? Yeah, one thing is if you're, I think you said you're about 50 years old. Typically when you're about...
40, I said 45-ish.
Okay. 45-ish.
Ning.
Sorry, but the idea is going to be the same.
Emphasis on the ish, but I'm not getting into it.
One thing for sure is I think even before you embark on any training routine, I would strongly suggest that you get on a hydration program, a good multivitamin, a good essential fatty acid, which is like a fish oil, and some trace minerals, just to get your basic vitamins down, and then start with the routine that Stewie just mentioned. That's all I wanted to say. And make sure that your fascia is in good health as well. I would do some foam rolling and do some stretching, maybe before you embark on a weight training routine, because you need to make sure that the connective tissue, the fascia, the hydration's all in place, and the nutrition's all in place before you embark on a real serious, or even a semi-serious weight training routine.
Yeah. And I'd like to add also, I think that, you know, you're from Phoenix, Max?
I'm from Phoenix Entertainment, LLC, correct, yes.
Okay, so do you live in Phoenix or you're in New York City?
No, Phoenix is the name of my company, and
Gotcha.
I don't live in New York City. My business is in New York City. Well, right now, nothing's in New York City right now.
Okay.
So
okay.
I'm operating from home. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I was also going to say, you know, if it's possible, when you said Phoenix Entertainment, I thought of Phoenix because that's actually where I am, is that, you know, if you do have any kind of space outside to walk, if you could, just to get the circulation going.
Got to get
Again,
out.
Yeah, well, it's getting out for, I think, you know, your mental acuity, but it's also getting out to improve circulation overall. So just kind of that cardiovascular component of exercise. You'd be really surprised at how beneficial walking can be. And again, it's about consistency. So if you can get out there 3-4 times a week and walk, it would do wonders for just kind of getting your body prepared, similar to what Ming was saying in terms of, you know, vitamins and getting that baseline. I think walking would be very beneficial.
Yeah.
All right.
I think though those things, just to touch on it, they're all good. But if we understand that getting into a program, you don't want to deter people anyhow from thinking about starting to move the body and exercising the body. And I know that's not what you're saying, Ming, but if a training regimen is done intelligently, right, and the things that we spoke about in terms of how we would go into a program, not overstress the body, it actually works better, because when you're eating and you're putting those supplements in and you're training, the conversion, the process it works better. If we have somebody that has a sluggish system, I've seen this like with thousands of people, you put the right things in, but because the system is just so slow, it doesn't work well. But now I take that same person, and that person is going through a regimen, the process of everything breaking down, a simulation skyrockets. It goes through the roof. It's twofold. The body's a system. We're not here to divide. We're here to work together. It's about taking those things in and implementing it. You don't have to think about it. I used to hear people say when I was a kid, there's a beginner's routine and then there's an advanced routine. And as I started getting more advanced, I started looking back and I started saying, well, you know what? I'm still doing kind of like beginner routines, if you really look at it, because I'm training 4 days a week. I'm getting ready, to try and go for my pro card, and it's working. Everything is working. And I'm saying to myself, well, wow. It's just remember that you're not trying to do too much. You're just trying to move the body. Put the water in, put the vitamins in, put the food in, get the exercise in. Don't think you have to skimp on the exercise or wait on the exercise, because what Ming is saying, some people will misconstrue that, and I think sometimes will think, oh, I have to do all of those other things first and then do that. The body works together. You can't separate anything that the body and the mind has to do, and the spirit and the soul. It has to work together. So what we want to do is we want to say, I'm going to get up tomorrow morning. I'm going to have my 8 ounces of room temperature water first thing. I'm going to go for a walk. When I come back, I'm going to take my shower. I'm going to have my first meal. I'm going to, come back in. I'm going to do a light little workout. Do 5, 2-3 sets, 5 push-ups, something easy that you can recover from. For people that are more advanced, it's going to be it's going to be something that's going to be a lot more intense. But I don't think you want to think that you can't do that, because people, I remember lecturing at the university, and people, sometimes I'll say something about stretching and people say, oh, you mean don't stretch? And I'm like, me? I like stretch all the time. So one of the things you want to stretch, but I still believe in stretching in between exercises. I think it's superior. We get better results. Your average individual that comes into a gym, your model, your finance guy, they're going to do a lot better by coming and doing a set of an exercise, stretching in between lightly. Yes, the contractile force of the fiber is going to be a little bit weaker. You might not be massively strong, but they're not trying to be the world's strongest man. They're not trying to, and if you are trying to be the world's strongest man, there's a progression to that. So you're not going to start off and jump off and start using like hundreds and thousands of pounds. You're not going to be moving weight like a Ming Chu. You're going to be moving weight at a slower pace. And even guys like us start easy. Every time I would take a layoff and I come back into the gym, my training is so simple. A lot of people look at me and say, you can lift heavier than that. Why are you using that little bit of weight? Why are you going so easy? It's not about how much I'm lifting. I'm checking the neuromuscular functions of my body. I'm making sure my movement patterns are lining up properly. I'm checking the depth. I'm looking to see the ankles, the knees. How does everything feel? It's about a feel workout. About a week and a half into that, then the intensity starts to build. And I've done that since I was 19 years old. And I've been training almost 40 years, so wow. It's a system that really works, and this is what we do with our clients. This is why we get good results, going in, good information, get to work. No procrastination. No, I can't do this. I can't do that. Get in there, get this shit done. Understand it. Have somebody that's, that's knowledgeable, that can give you the right information so you can do what you need to do. That's what this thing is about.
And Max, just wanted to let you know, you could go to Team at Iron and Silk Fitness for more information, or if you wanted to see Stu online, you can go to wellnessroundtable.com.
And Ming, there's nobody, and not to cut you off, Dave, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
But when it comes to fascia and physical therapy, Ming Chu, hey Ming.
Give me a shout out.
He's the man. Ming is the man. Ming has helped me for years. And I've known Ming since I was 19 years old. I met Ming when I was a kid. I ain't gonna tell you that he's 1,000, but yeah.
Thanks so much. Thank you very much for your call. Really appreciate it.
And thank the dog for me too. Thank you.
Okay, you got it. Take care.
Thank you, Anthony.
Bye. So, guys, wanted to bring up something that came up kind of through that question, which is, we're going to be in this situation, let's say, for another few weeks, whether a month and a half. How do people go back to a routine? What happens? Like in terms of the psyche, not only physical, I'm thinking more mentally, how do people get back to what it was they were doing normally? Because I have a feeling that a lot of people will just try to go back. Right. Like, hey, I'm back, the door's open, I can go. And then
Mm.
I think you're going to see some injuries. You might see some, like,
Mm.
people are going to, they're not going to be as strong or as capable as they once were. So then they're going to get, discouraged and all of that. So I don't want to say like, what's the secret sauce or what's the special thing, but what are some techniques or suggestions once that door opens? What do you do?
Hmm.
How do you go
Man.
back?
Would you like me to address that?
Sure.
Jump on that, man. Yeah.
What's happening for me personally is that I obviously, and Stewie's the same, but he has his own gym. My gym closed about 2.5 weeks ago. So I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? But fortunately, I have a pretty nice, large apartment. I have a nice set of dumbbells that goes up to 35 pounds. So I'm very, very lucky. They're very valuable right now. Here they're selling for thousands of dollars on eBay. So I have dumbbells only as heavy as 35 pounds, which is still enough for what I need to do. And I also have these rubber cables, the rubber band exercises. So I have them all set up. You can actually see them behind me. And I do a workout probably about 4 times a week. And the funny thing is, and Stu would appreciate this, I got really sore after doing these rubber band exercises and the relatively lightweight exercises, because the exercises I was doing in my home was different than the exercises I did in the gym. So even though they were quote unquote lower level exercises, I still felt results in soreness afterwards.
Absolutely.
So I know I'm getting something out of it. But eventually, the resistance of the cables or the rubber cables and the weights are going to have a ceiling. It's not going to go past that.
Correct.
So I have to be more innovative. But luckily, I've been training since I was 14 years old. So I've been training over 40-something years. So I feel pretty confident in learning how to devise a routine that will increase the intensity or make my workout a little bit harder.
Right.
Not just experience, but people who are not able to do that, you're going to have to get a coach to help you do that, or just go online. There's tons of great stuff. I confess, I looked online. There are a lot of great trainers up there. I didn't realize how advanced these people were until the last 2 weeks, because I was looking at some of their ideas and I incorporated some of the things. Yeah. And I consider myself an expert, and I was learning stuff from these people online. I have no problem borrowing off someone else.
Sure.
But getting to what David was saying is, how does one get back into a routine?
Right.
Slow. Like, let's say you worked out at home for a month and a half. Now we're back in the gym. I recommend going around 40% of what you normally do. Do that for 6 workouts and increase your intensity maybe and your volume, roughly 10% each workout. And by the end of the sixth session, you'll be close to 100%, and then you can start pushing. So basically, about 2 weeks worth of workouts, very low, incrementing slowly. By the end of the 2 weeks, you should be back to normal.
Right. I want to say something. I want to say something about that. See, from being both competitive athletes, what I think gives us a real edge, to be very honest, is when you're competing, you're trying to, and especially on the level that we're competing on, you're trying to be the best, right? So you're competing against the best. You compete against like really great guys, and you have to understand progressions. You got to understand the first thing we do in bodybuilding to compete. First month, we're going to cut sugars. You're not even going to change too many things in your diet. For the majority of guys, you're just going to stop eating like sugary stuff, like alcohol, things like that. These type of things we start to cut out, and you're still training, and to give you an example. So I think it's very important for you to understand getting into a regimen. It's not about, I feel good right now sitting down, so when I walk in the gym, I can go in and I can go buck wild. I can go crazy. That's not what it is. The idea is you're going back to the gym with the thought process of, how does everything feel right now? How do my joints feel? Oh, wow. You know what? I did that bench press. When I was doing it before, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, my pec didn't feel tight at the low point of the stretch, but now it feels a little tight. That's an indication. So you're looking for things that if you were paying attention, the problem is most people go to the gym and they're not going with that mindset. They're not, as a bodybuilder, we're trying to lift as heavy weight as we can. We're trying to do reps. So we're looking at every little thing. The average person is talking about going in and doing movements and workouts. Workouts don't work. They don't work. Everybody does workouts, but is it productive? What we're talking about is being productive. So what makes a workout productive is the mindset that you bring to the gym. So when you're going in there, you want to think about, today for the next week, next 2 weeks, I just want to make sure I can move the bar from full extension to full stretch and it feel okay. And then when the next day rolls around, you say, oh, wow, That was just a 45-pound bar, but I got a little sore from it. That's an indication that you really don't want to go that much more than what you were just lifting. Stay there. There's nothing wrong with staying there, giving yourself 2 weeks to break your body in. Again, focusing on range of motion now with loads, because before the loads, like Ming said, you're going to reach a ceiling. And back in the day when I first started training, my dad didn't let me train with weights. For my first year of training, all I was able to use were springs. And I was talking with Leon Brown about this, and Ming Chu knows who Leon Brown is as well. And we were laughing at it because exercise springs, today they use bands. But back in the 50s and the 60s, a lot of guys were using springs. You'd open the spring, and sometimes the spring would pinch you. You'd be like, "Oh my God!" You know what I mean? Ming's laughing because he remembers that stuff. Today they don't know about springs, but those type of things got you ready. It got you ready. So after a year of that, then my dad allowed me to start to lift weights. So all I did was dips and chins, do spring exercises. I was doing body weight squats and just learning the form, the technique for a year. I did that. Now, I'm not saying that you guys need to do that. My hopes and aspirations as a kid was to maximize my potential as quickly as possible. Most people are not starting that at an age 12. They're doing this at different ages, and most of them are a little bit older. But the idea is still how we went about it. You don't have to do it for a year, but you do need to give your body a chance, a time to break in. So take it easy.
Yeah.
Don't go too hard. Get on the leg press, use the sled. I wouldn't even say go in and squat the bar, to be very honest. I've always been a guy that if I take a layoff, my first leg workout is never barbell squat. It's always leg presses. The second, third workouts after that, then I start to incorporate the squat because I'm looking to see that the fluid release in the joint is there. The joint should feel good. Training should not hurt. And that's not to say that it's not difficult. It's got to be difficult at some point, but it should never feel like you're hurting yourself. It should never be hurtful.
It's really good points. And I want to bring up also the idea of cardiovascular exercise, because again, we're basically at this point sedentary,
Right.
You're working out 4 times a week. That's great. But the rest of the time you're kind of in a very small space and you're
right,
for the most part sedentary. I think that heart rate and heart rate recovery should also be looked at too. I think that, along with range of motion, which I think is extremely important, and understanding the sort of the feel of your workout now as compared to what it was 4 months ago is a great point. But I also think that a lot of people will be eating more, and people will be more sedentary, and that's going to put a strain on the cardiovascular system. So maybe you didn't know what your heart rate was before, but I think there's a very kind of easy way to determine where you're at, and that could be by looking at heart rate recovery. So if you are exercising after we get through this, this challenging time, if you go back to exercise, just make sure that your heart rate is not staying elevated for a considerable amount of time. So you did the treadmill, your heart rate's at 156. It needs to be dropping down to 130, 120, probably in that first minute after you step off the treadmill. If not, and heart rate recovery has been shown to be a very good measure of fitness, then your body's telling you, hey, you know what? You're not ready for this. You need to kind of slowly get back into the flow. But I think that, I think it's an easy measure, an easy thing to kind of understand and how that really impacts your fitness. So heart rate is a really good, marker for that.
Oh yeah, I agree. In your opinion, Dave, what do you think would be probably the 2 best? Because somebody spoke to me the other day, and Ming, you can answer this too. I want to throw this out to Dave. Rowing machine. They had a rowing machine and a stepper. And this person is really hooked on the rowing machine. And how do you feel about the 2 of those apparatus? I mean, as far as maintaining like really good heart strength.
Yeah. So do you want me to answer first or?
No. Yeah, I want to hear from you because you're amazing when it comes to this.
So they have that's what they have. They have a rower and they have a stepper.
Yeah.
Is the stepper like an old time kind of Stairmaster?
No. It's one of those new ones that just have the pod and you stay on that one pod. It's not the step.
Oh, it's not a step. So it's not a gauntlet.
No, it's not a
Okay.
step mill. It's not a gauntlet.
Okay.
It's not a step mill. No.
So the first thing I would do is I would kind of, alter when I use those, right? So
Mm,
I wouldn't use like the stepper 4 days a week for like a month. I would
mm,
start to alternate, number one, right?
mm.
Because you're going to be focused on various muscles. Is this person a
Right.
rower? Have they rowed before?
No, they're not. They're not a rower. As a
What's
matter of fact,
interesting,
it's an
okay.
old woman.
What's interesting about rowing that I
Yeah.
have found over the years,
Yeah.
rowing form is very, it has a lot of variety, so to speak. So people row differently, and
Uh-huh.
often they don't keep their back straight. They're not
Yeah.
generating the power with
Yeah.
their legs, finishing with the arms. They
Yeah.
tend to do it with a bent over back, which could
Yeah.
lead to like injuries. If they're going to do it right, then I would say probably the best bang for your buck is the rower, because it involves the entire body,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Arms and back and
mm,
legs. Whereas the
mm,
stepper, if it's a
mm.
stepper that I'm thinking of,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
it's the
kind of
one.
lean on the sides and just like pound with
Right.
your legs and that
Right.
kind of thing.
Right.
But for both of them, listen, if that's what they have, I would alternate the use of those, let's say every other day.
Yeah.
Um, Rowing tends to be very intense. So if this is an older woman, I would not put her on a rower for a half an hour.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
she's got to start really slow. First of all,
Right.
get the form down,
Right.
understand the movement, and she could go online and look at rowing movement, especially
Right.
using a rower, not using a boat.
Right. Right.
Different. And
Absolutely.
and then I think, she could start just slowly. It's going to get her heart rate up pretty quick because it involves a tremendous amount of muscle.
Yeah.
So there's a high demand for that. And then I think the stepper is good, but I think not leaning on the sides is key.
Right.
So maybe just using the sides for balance.
Yeah.
And is this a person who does cardiovascular exercise regularly? Or no?
Not really. Not
Then I
really.
got it. Then I would
Yeah.
start like
Yeah.
at minimal time
Right.
frames. Like the
Right. Right.
duration's got to be really
Slow.
not
I mean,
even slow,
small. I mean, slow. I mean,
small,
short. Yeah. Short.
like
Yeah.
2 minutes and 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Like we're
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
like really minimal
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Because you don't want someone on there for 15 minutes. Their heart rate goes up. It doesn't come down. It's
Right.
elevated. How
Right.
old is this woman?
I think she's in her 70s.
Yeah, that's some heavy, and not
Yeah. Yeah.
being
Yeah.
used to those machines, that can be pretty intense. So
Yeah.
those are the things
Yeah.
I would recommend.
Yeah. Yeah. I think. Yeah.
I'd like to add, I'm sure you guys are pretty much aware of this, but a lot of sadly, a lot of the victims of this virus have been elderly people. And I think over 60 are pretty much at risk.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
if you have an elderly client, particularly if she's a woman in her 70s, if she has comorbid conditions with pre-existing conditions, you have to be so careful with these people.
Yep.
Because it's pushing them over the edge.
You could drop the immune system.
You might hurt her.
You could
So
go.
the immune system is highly compromised, and things are going wrong. I mean, the people in Italy, the average age of the people who passed away in northern Italy was 81 years old, and 99% of the people had comorbid pre-existing conditions, and they were smokers, and they were obese, and they just it's not a healthy country really in Italy. I've been to Italy; it's a beautiful country, but it's got the oldest population. So if you're going to start training elderly people, I mean, particularly in this environment, you have to be ultra careful not to overdo with these people.
Yeah.
I would agree with David. Very little on those rowing machines. I would just get them to walk and see if they're.
I would agree.
Yeah. I was
step in place.
I was telling her the same thing because I'm actually with the rower. And remembering how her posture is. I'm not a big fan of it for this particular individual, to be very honest. And I was like,
and the feet are binded in there. I mean, rowing is an intense exercise if it's done, correctly.
Yeah, you can compressing the lungs when you go forward. You're going in. I mean, it's good. It's good, but you don't you obviously don't know the shape that this person is in.
Yeah,
I'm talking about, but the shape of this person, is, curvature to the spine, but it was her son's stuff that he left at the house. And it's just that I was like, you know what, if you do it, I'm like, 2 minutes. And because myself, a lot of people laugh, but when I would start my cardio program regimen, I would only do 4 minutes.
Yeah.
4 minutes. And people are looking at me like, are you kidding me? Is that it? And I'm like, hey. 4 minutes is good because I'm not looking to try and increase a tremendous amount of time. My goal always with cardio was to do intense cardio. I have intense cardio, and then I have what steady state, long cardio. It never goes over 45 minutes. But when I would start my intense cardio starts only at 4 minutes. 2 minutes of easy work, and then 2 minutes of hard work. And over the course of weeks, that would start to build out.
Yeah.
And that would never go beyond 20 minutes. So I never do hard cardio beyond 20 minutes.
One thing I might recommend for her is deep breathing, like diaphragmatic breathing.
Yeah,
I think that could be really helpful.
Absolutely.
I
You know,
you need that. You need that.
really
I think
strengthen
everybody should be doing that.
they do, but when
know?
it's done right, it's not, it's not as easy as it sounds when it's done correctly.
It's hard.
And
it is hard.
it also helps to really build lung capacity, which obviously is something we need these days.
Yeah.
So I think, that might be something helpful, or even stepping in place for a little bit could be good.
Yeah. True.
The rower you're talking about, I believe, is probably an old rower. It's probably not one of your newer, like modern.
Yeah.
I can totally picture what it is.
Yeah. It's a very old machine. I remember it. But she was like so concerned. She's like, oh, with everything going on, she was like, I'm going to start doing this and that. And I was like, hey.
Yeah.
Take it easy. Don't do those things. I'm like, take it easy, cut back, But it's one of those things. It's one of those things. And I think a lot of times people don't realize it. They just look at a machine and they say, oh, I'm going to jump on there. I'm going to go.
Sure.
But you gotta respect something, especially if you haven't done it.
Yeah.
If you haven't done it, you gotta go in with respect. You gotta, hey, treat it with kids' gloves, kid gloves.
Very much so.
Then start to get acclimated with it, and then start to flesh it out. But
Yeah. So it's great. I mean, this has been a great conversation.
I agree.
We need to do this again.
Bill Grant. Bill Grant's going to be coming on. Bill Grant next week. We're going to try and get Bill next week.
Good. That sounds great. So shout out to our sponsors, Iron and Silk Fitness at Team and Iron and Silk Fitness, and Wellness Roundtable at wellnessroundtable.com.
Awesome.
So next time, hopefully, we'll have some music to lead us out.
Yeah, we'll see what we could do. Maybe we can get Ming. Maybe we can have Ming. Ming has a good voice.
Oh,
and
good.
If we get Ming,
we could do some a cappella. Excellent. All right. So for now, that's Gamechangers, and we'll see you guys next week. All right.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining us.
All right, guys. Take care.